Fluffy and a CEO podcast is a sister and brother from the Midwest bringing their unique perspective on life, family, work, and the human condition. I hope you're ready to have an adult conversation. On today's episode, we discuss high maintenance. All right, episode 5, guys. How are we feeling today?
Feel good.
Top of the morning to you.
Top of the morning. Well, how are you today, Fluffy?
I'm great. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
And you're sporting the green. Very nice.
Yes, my favorite green, Ohio University green. Go Bobcats.
Go Bobcats. Hi, Ryan. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm not sporting any green, so I apologize about that.
What's up with that? You're anti-St. Patrick's Day, or?
No, I just woke up, didn't really think about it until my sister said I might get pinched today, but I did not, so I made it through the day.
Day's not over yet, so.
That is a true statement.
Yeah, I'm ready to hunt some grizzly bear today, Ryan.
I don't know what that means.
I guess we're going to find out. So our format of this podcast is to bring our audience along on some of the conversations we might have over the kitchen table, things that are important in our lives, and hopefully something that everyone can relate to. So with that said, are you ready for an adult conversation?
Let's go hunting.
Today's topic, high maintenance. So, when I say high maintenance, Ryan, what does that mean?
Well, I was going to ask you, are we speaking, that's ambiguous.
In terms of people.
Relationships, wives, or just
human beings, relationships, people.
Which one do you want to talk about first? Just human beings, like
Whatever.
who I encounter?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you say someone's high maintenance, what does that mean?
They require a lot of emotions from you. Or it could be financial. They require a lot of money, whatever that individual has that is creating a little bit of stress for you.
Okay, so emotional requires a little extra emotions, money, anything else that if somebody's high maintenance may require?
No, that's pretty much how I think. Because I just want to preface it. Let's say somebody was sick or something. That's not high maintenance to me. High maintenance is somebody's choosing, I want to drive a Mercedes, not a Chevy. I want to live here, not there, that type stuff.
Okay. Fluffy, what do you think about when we hear the term high maintenance?
I hate that term because women are ultra sensitive to that term because it's usually used towards us. And I think a man coined that term because he was tired of dealing with his difficult wife. So I think high maintenance is a euphemism for a difficult woman. And when a man uses that term, I think he has failed on the vow trinity. The third word in the vow trinity, to love, honor, and cherish. And when that high maintenance term gets thrown around, I think a man has failed to cherish their wife.
Well, what do you call it then?
High expectations. Thank you for asking that. Thank you.
Well, what is high expectations?
When you marry a good woman, okay, and I'm saying a good woman, not an evil woman.
Define good woman. Again, our listeners are not following you. They need to understand what is a good woman. You have to explain that.
I will. A good woman is not an evil woman and not a crazy woman.
Okay.
So if you marry that type of woman, no woman that's a good woman is high maintenance. We have high standards. So when you marry a woman, a good woman, she is going to have high standards for herself, her home, and her man.
Well, what's those standards? You're being too ambiguous. Is it a 6,000 square foot house, a 2,000 square foot house? Is it a Mercedes, not a Cavalier? Is it I need $10,000 a month? Is it a Gucci bag? Again, men are hunters, so get more descriptive on what you mean by high maintenance. Since you're saying you're entitled to high expectations, what are the expectations? If a guy only makes $30,000 a year, can he fulfill your expectations?
So, typical man, you are going to finances, okay? So, to love your wife, to honor your wife, what do you tell me what cherish, what part of the vows cherish? What does that mean to you? Does that mean just paying the mortgage?
Well, yeah, I think expectations are met if a man's waking up every day, working 13 hours a day. What's more the expectations that you desire? There's a lot of guys, let me finish. There's a lot of guys that go to a bar, get drunk. Would you agree with that? There's a lot of guys that have affairs. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
There's a lot of guys who aren't attentive. So if a guy is working hard, but let's say financially he can't bring to the table to fulfill her expectations, and let's say they're monetary just for the conversation, because if it's not monetary, I need you to help me. What's an expectation? She needs 5 hugs a day. She needs a kiss on the forehead. What are you speaking to?
Have you heard of the 5 love languages?
I'm a dude. We don't do that.
Okay, so it's a very popular book, and if you're on social media, and they talk about the love languages all the time. So first, love language, it's words of affirmation. And I know you give wifey that.
Sure.
You tell her, good job, you know. Second is acts of service. So what do you think would be an act of service for your wife?
Waking up, going to work every day, putting food in her belly, paying the bills, making sure her head doesn't get wet because she's got a roof over her head.
Wow, Ryan. Really? So bringing her a cup of coffee in bed would never occur to you?
Well, she could do that by herself if she's not grateful. She could see how the world functions if she's such a raw dog and so tough. She can go out in the world and live on her own.
But so you really think a woman's heart, you just feed a woman's heart by paying the mortgage and paying the bills?
Absolutely not. I'm agreeing with you on some things, but all I'm hearing you say is what a woman needs and wants. I'm just trying to ask from the male perspective, if a guy goes to work, you said a typical male goes right to finances. I have a male brain, so my question to you is, do you think men go to bed every night with amount of stress that maybe you can't even consider on how they're going to continue to keep the wife and the kids and everybody happy? Do you think the male ever looks inside his soul and says, I can't even provide what she wants and she doesn't understand how difficult it is for me to make X? Do you think the wife ever says, honey, you're doing the best you can. We understand the government's taxing almost half your check. We understand not everybody can make $100 million playing basketball or football. Do you think the men ever feel that they can't provide? Do you ever wonder if they're struggling emotionally or mentally?
Of course.
Well, I haven't heard that. You have to speak on it. What you're saying is this is what the women need, the love language.
Can I interject here? So we kind of dove on head first, which I appreciate. But we're focusing on kind of women in this regard. My question to you is, can men be high maintenance?
Oh, definitely.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree with her 100%. A human being can be high maintenance. You guys are putting the term men or women. I'll speak clearly for Ryan. Ryan feels any human can be high maintenance.
Well, when we talk about, I think what's interesting when listeners listen to us, we have such a unique viewpoint, you male viewpoint, me female viewpoint. And like we said in the other podcast, when the divorce rate is 70%, why is that? So when we talk about high maintenance, we should talk about high maintenance in regards to relationships.
Yeah, and I agree, but the divorce rate is that way because I'm saying both parties, not one. I'll ask you, don't you think people have forgotten what's really important? Don't you think marriage is the fundamental thing is two human beings uniting, trying to make the best of what they can through this thing called life?
Yes, I think men have forgotten how to take care of a woman's heart. It's all about you need to understand how stressed I am. You need to understand how hard it is to make a living. I get that. I hear you on that. I agree. But coming from a woman's point of view, I think the men just have forgotten how to cherish a woman. And that leads to a lot of problems.
I would agree with that. But again, you have to help your brother. Let's say I'm stupid in that area. What do you want me to do? What actions does the male need to do?
Stop fighting us.
Like Eric asked, that would tell you that we cherish you, not fighting you. So we just live our whole life just saluting you, just nodding you, saying, well, here, we'll just do what you tell us to do.
The man whoever coined and released, and you probably won't like this term, but surrendered to his wife because he realized, if I have a happy wife, I have a happy life, was a genius, because he realized that as his wife, she has the best interest for her husband.
Well,
her goal is to have high expectations. She wants him to be the best man he can. And a man that realizes that is a lot happier. The home is a peaceful place.
Never 100% disagree. Here's what we could do. After this podcast, we could go on any street and you find me, and I'll put $100 bill. You find me 20 women, and you tell those women right to their face, you want to lead? You want to lead? Most women want men to lead. Maybe not you. Your household, you may run it. But most women want to defer to the man, and they do want the male to run the house, which means the relationship, which means the marriage.
So let me ask you guys a question. So we agree that men and women can both be high maintenance. So how would you characterize yourselves? So
I would be high maintenance.
I'm high maintenance, definitely.
I know I'm high maintenance just from, sorry, baby, my wife has to hear about work 24/7. She has to hear about my constant obsessions, my constant compulsions, my dreams. So a lot of times, if I'm not careful, I could unintentionally freeze her out with my own obsessions and my own goals. And sometimes I'm not cognizant of that. So to answer your question directly, absolutely, I'm high maintenance.
So there's things that wifey gives you that you need to be able to,
Well,
you
for
have
me-
expectations,
For
right?
me, I can only speak because I'm the only one married, or what my wife grants me is understanding who I am, understanding I'm kind of tweaked, and accepting that, which is why I feel we have a healthy marriage.
Unconditional love. She gives you unconditional love. She gets you unconditional support.
Absolutely.
You know, when you have a failure, she's right there.
Now, what does she get before you say too much with her?
The house
she would
mortgage.
What she would also say is she gets a guy that works 16 hours a day, which I don't find funny. She would also say, I got a guy that bet on himself 10 years ago when nobody else did. She would also say, I have a guy that will outwork most men. And she will also say, at the end of the day, I'm with the right guy if things go south because I'm protected, because he is not a type of individual that will go backwards or give up. So therefore, my life is in good hands.
That's true.
So you're meeting her requirements as well. So Fluffy, how would you characterize yourself? You already said you don't like the term high maintenance, but how would you characterize yourself?
Well, I am high maintenance. I expect a lot from myself, and I expect a lot from my husband. And again, those high standards, I think any woman makes a man better if that man releases control and if that man allows that woman to make them better. A lot of men push back on that. You know, they don't want to release that control, and they fight their women. We want the best for our husbands. We don't understand why men fight us.
Well, if you don't mind, for me, could you kind of expound on that sentence, let go of control? Like, what do you mean? An aspect of life, or control in general, just defer to her?
Well, you're so egotistical. The male ego is huge. You think everything that you do is dipped in gold. And if we say it's not, you don't like to hear that. We have to constantly praise you, constantly give you adoration. And if we don't, you get self-defensive and you throw a temper tantrum.
So why do women marry men? Why get married?
Because we love men.
How can you love men if they do these traits? It makes no sense. You're not being logical.
Well, that's the difference between men and women. Women have no problem loving something unconditionally.
So we're going back to the very first episode again. You're still trying to rewire the man's brain when you know the man can't
No.
do what he can't think like you. So
That's
why do you
not true. You agreed on one of the last podcasts that a man can be a protector, provider,
Absolutely.
and gentle and kind. We're asking for you
Within
to be more
reason.
gentle and kind.
Well, you have to give the reasoning where gentle and kind is.
So can I interject here? I think we are using the words lead, right? In your mind, Ryan, the man should lead.
Yes.
And then Wendy's using making control in terms of the decisions around the house. So can you lead and also relinquish control?
Definitely.
No, I don't believe so. But
So-
remember, this podcast is not a therapy session. What the podcast is two people answering the narrator's questions. And I will always say this, fellas, hear this. No man can run his household 50-50. Somebody has to lead. If you want her to lead, great. It won't happen with me.
So I guess my point is that you can still have a man lead, but also relinquish control for some of the decisions that are made in the house.
Absolutely. We want our men to lead, but we don't want them to rule over us. You know, and that goes back to communication.
I agree with that. I don't think a guy should be heavy-handed.
So how would you describe each other? So you both admitted you're both high maintenance. Ryan, how would you describe your sister? Is she high maintenance?
Well, for me, that's not fair because this is my sister. I love my sister. I've always said this from day one. It doesn't matter her situations or if she's however she is. I only see my sister. So all I see is blood and somebody that's known my whole life. So I'm not really able to critique her in that manner.
Well, let's focus, like when we go out to dinner. Could you say some ways I'm high maintenance?
Here's all I can say. I can say it this way, which I think is fair. Your marriage and my marriage are completely different, even though we're siblings. Is that a fair statement?
True, yes.
So that's the best way to answer it for Eric.
Yeah, but there's other ways of high maintenance too. Like again, can you think of anything when we go out to dinner as a family? You look at me and go, geez, my sister is high maintenance.
No, I mean, for me, it would just be the difference of how we communicate with our spouses.
Okay.
So does maintenance just refer to relationships, or I thought we discussed that you can have high maintenance people outside
In your
that too?
personal life, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How you do things.
Yeah. So would you guys like to take a quiz on how high maintenance each one
Sure.
of you are?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind.
All right. First question.
This is kind of fun. I like this. It's different.
So we'll start with you, Ryan. How flexible are you in terms of your daily routine?
0.
Wendy, how flexible are you?
I'm very flexible.
Okay. So,
Now, I want to say it a little bit tongue-in-cheek. The reason why I said 0 is if you're saying literally someone, got hurt or my mom needed me, I'm dropping
course.
what I do. But
Right.
course.
but
Right.
pretty much why I said that is I'm pretty OCD. So, yeah, I don't like my routine being messed with.
Yeah. CEO likes a routine. Yeah.
okay. So you would say that if something other than, of course,
Correct.
throws you off your routine, how does that make you feel?
For me, it creates anxiety, and I kind of get out of my box.
Okay. And Fluffy, you roll with the punches?
Yeah, I'm pretty anti-routine.
You're the antithesis of routine?
Yes.
You.
Yes.
All right. In terms of, you kind of mentioned this earlier, when you go to a restaurant, how specific are you when you order your meal?
Well, again, I think that, I could talk about, like, for instance, how Ryan likes his salads, but I don't think that's high maintenance. I think that's preferences.
Well, I'm asking the questions so you get to answer the questions. How particular are you when you order your meal? I'm asking you, Wendy.
Well, are we going to a casual dining restaurant or are we going to a fine dining restaurant?
Let's say we're going to a fine dining restaurant.
Okay. So if my husband takes me to a fine dining restaurant, I want the waiter or waitress to treat me like a princess. I have a trinity when it comes to dining. The food has to be spectacular, the atmosphere has to be spectacular, and the service has to be spectacular. Yes.
So spectacular is the operative phrase there.
Yes.
So Ryan, if we are at a fine dining restaurant, how particular are you with the food?
I pretty much know what I want when I order. Like, you want me to say, like, if we were at Longhorn, do I get the same thing each time? What is it?
Well, what if they say, would you like to try the special?
No, I'm going to get the same thing. I'm going to get the chicken parmesan with a loaded baked potato with the salad, no onion, no cucumber, no tomato. Please add bacon, egg, and cheese.
And if they go, sorry, we're out of that, how's that going to make you feel?
I mean, I'll be a little frustrated, but I don't get tweaked on that because that's out of their control.
Okay. So it sounds like both of you are pretty particular about
I'm
what you
particular
order.
about food, but I am not needing what my sister needs. If I go to fine dining, I'm in agreement with her as far as if I'm going to spend X, there should be a given of with that. However, for me, it doesn't have to be spectacular.
Okay. Have you
But
ever
can I say, like, let's say Ryan and I take our parents out to dinner. If it was just Ryan and my dad taking my mom out to dinner, they decide when she leaves. And I don't like that. Now, if it was me and Ryan and my parents, you know, I have to. We're not leaving until my mom's ready to leave.
Is that true?
If she says it, I mean, it's true in her eyes.
Well, do you ever think about that?
No, because my mom's always happy. Until my mom says I'm not happy, I'm good.
See, my mom will never. Yeah, she always acquiesces to Ryan and my dad on that.
All right. Well, it's
So that's
good.
just an example
of having
of men
flexibility.
being
Mom, if you
high
don't
maintenance.
like dinner, let us know.
Have you
See, I
ever?
don't think again. It's not on purpose. My brother and my father don't even realize those things. And as women, it's not worth the fight.
Because we're men.
It's not worth the fight. What would happen is if mom said, can I have another martini? Both of them would throw a little tantrum. They're tired, or she's had enough to drink, and it's time to go.
There is also the famous 2 martini rule, correct?
Yes, they don't want her dancing on tables, so.
All right. So, men look out for their women too, right? Have you ever returned something at a restaurant,
Of course,
Brian?
but it's not for a power trip. There has to be something really wrong with the food. I don't like doing it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever done that.
I don't think you have. I don't think Ryan has.
That's not in my spirit.
Yeah.
Okay, good. How long do you wait for someone to reply to a text before you become annoyed?
That's a good question. And why that's such a good question is because I hate what that's done to my brain because, yeah, it's like 5 minutes. And that's just so stupid. But no, that's a really good question. I could speak on that for 20 seconds if you want me to.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, the reason why I hate that is because my brain will start creating all these scenarios. This person's mad at me. What did I do? Why aren't they responding? And it's insanity that my mind goes that way and how conditioned we've become to what I call instant communication.
Fluffy, what about you?
Oh, it doesn't bother me at all unless you're my husband. And if I'm mad at you, he better respond in 20 minutes. But everyone else, yeah, they can take their time.
High expectations.
High expectations, exactly.
All right, so if you had a choice for dinner, drive-through or fine dining?
Fine dining.
Well, I mean, everybody would rather eat a better meal. I mean, yeah.
Well, what do you feel? You would prefer the better meal, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, see, that surprises me because it's usually, eat and go at fine dining. I don't think when we go there, I don't see you really enjoying your meal as much as I would. But I think that's the difference between a man and a woman.
I think that's a true statement.
Yeah, but that surprises me.
Which word really sings to your soul? Splurge or save?
Splurge.
Splurge.
All right.
Really? Now, see, you're blowing me out of the water.
Savings for suckers.
I would have not, moderator, would you have guessed that CEO would have said that?
Let me paraphrase that now. I'm not saying splurge, I go buy TVs and stuff, but no, if I got money in my pocket, I'm trying to make more money, so I'm putting it out on the street for some action.
Fair enough, yeah.
But is it hard for you to splurge on yourself? I know you splurge for the company, but is it hard for you to splurge on yourself?
Yeah, I try not to do that
See,
because
yeah.
it's not really in my spirit. I don't really need those things. And pretty much anything I need, I pretty much have. And you would, I think, be honest with this because we both got this. We inherited that from our dad and our mom. They're pretty simple, and I kind of just am the same way. Simple
and generous.
When is the last time either one of you have been camping?
Camping? I don't think I've ever went camping.
Oh, that's something I would never do. Ugh.
Interesting. A lot of people find that relaxing and enjoyable. Why have you never been camping?
I'm all beach. I hate outdoors. I get mosquito bites. I took allergy shots when I was growing up. So the outdoors to me, that's not my vibe. And what's so funny is my wife loves it, obsessed about it. So our compromise, if we can, if we're blessed enough to do it, and all things line up, is a little place in Colorado, a little place in Florida. So she gets her 6 months, I get my 6 months.
Fluffy, you want to go camping?
No, I like hotel camping. That's the only type of camping I like.
What kind of hotels do you prefer?
Vegas. Yeah.
The cheap one that you can get for $20 a night?
No, high end all the way. Yeah.
Would you like the results of your quiz?
Yeah.
You both are high maintenance.
Okay.
Now, that's not a bad thing, is it? I mean, we kind of started out that saying that maybe there's a negative connotation with high maintenance, but you guys are both high maintenance, have high expectations. Is that a bad thing?
Of course not.
Yeah,
of course not. That's how you achieve something.
I can sometimes think high maintenance can also be, passion under the right scenario. Like I said, I might not be doing good on this topic because high maintenance to me, I've been pretty much conditioned. I do think female, and it pretty much goes two areas: either spends a lot of money or wants a lot of money to spend.
See, again, he has that negative connotation, and it's usually used as a negative connotation to women.
Now, here's my question to you.
We're money grubbers.
Let's say that's me, but do you think that at least your brothers, do you think most other guys would have probably said what I said, or do you think I'm unique in that area?
That when a guy hears high maintenance, he thinks of a woman who wants a lot of money.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And I'm trying to re-educate you, and that's not what it is. If you marry a bad, evil, crazy woman, yes. But a good woman, let's replace that term with high expectations.
But why do I have that thought? Because I really don't know. Maybe you could help me. Well, why does that go in my brain or a lot of guys' brains?
Because that's all you guys think about. That's all you think about is your job and your career. And I understand what you're saying. How could we not? That is such a pressure. We have to provide for our wife, and we have to provide for our family. And I get that. But it doesn't have to encompass 100% of your brain.
So are you saying, Wendy, that there's a lot of things that a man could do for a high-maintenance woman that don't cost anything?
Absolutely. Can I go over the love languages again?
Yeah, why don't you finish it?
It's not about money. We want love, attention, and adoration. Okay, love language one, like I said, word of affirmation. Acts of service, gifts, quality time, physical touch. It's not about money. I think men think it is, but they haven't tried any of these other ways. Hugging your wife, giving your wife a hug, quality time. I just saw a research that they asked couples, what quality time do you spend together? And 95% of them said, well, we watch TV together. And the researchers said that's not quality time. Quality time is actually talking to each other. What are your hopes? What are your dreams? You know, how are you feeling? You know, and a gift doesn't have to be monetary. A gift can be a simple red rose.
What if a guy said, I agree with you. I could do better than that, but could you meet me in the middle in one area? I would like to stay home and you work so I could be better at talking to you more. I won't be as mentally exhausted. You obviously understand the human connection and what women need better than I do. What would be the problem with that?
Well, that's a passive-aggressive response.
Well, see, if everything is constantly, you're trying to live in a world where you're king or you're queen and you're not even entertaining that and you're snuffing me quickly when you know it's a valid conversation point. Why couldn't you just go to work?
Well, you're assuming both people don't work.
No,
Why are you assuming just the male?
No, I assumed what I said specifically was if a guy says my job makes me tired mentally, my job exhausts me, I could be a lot better and fulfill these things you want. Could you meet me in the middle? I would like to give up my job. I'll take care of the house. It won't be as mentally as stressful. You're better equipped than I am to handle these things. Can we agree on that?
Well, you're proving my point with you being a man. It's all or nothing. You can't have a job, but you can be a little more, give your wife a little more attention. It's with you. It's got to be all or nothing. And that's what is infuriating for women.
It's not that. Here's my question to you. You can try to manipulate it, but it's fair. If somebody wants to achieve something in life and they want to really do it to the best of their ability, do you think that requires an all or nothing mindset?
Well, that's a good point, because if you research the Sam Waltons, help me, who developed...
No, you're right. Sam Walton, Walmart. Just talk about him. He built Walmart from nothing.
But the Apple guy.
Steve Jobs.
Thank you, Steve Jobs. They were all or nothing. They didn't have time for anything else. So on that fact, I can't argue with you. It's true.
Well, that's what your brother is. I'm 100% all or nothing. Your father was all or nothing. Our grandfather was all or nothing. That is who the McDaniels are. You can't be an entrepreneur, and you know this better than anybody because you lived in the family and you understand it. You can't have one foot in the pool and one foot on the grass.
I think you can, a little bit. I'm not saying go from 100% to 40%. I'm saying just a little bit.
Okay, well, fair enough. I can meet you in the middle there. I just want to end it with this. Nobody on this earth that's ever done anything that will be talked about after they're dead did not do it without an all or nothing mindset.
I agree with that, but if we take mom and dad out to dinner tonight, can you and dad not rush her?
Well, it's up to mom. I figured she can tell us. She's 74.
All right.
This was kind of a hot, juicy one.
It was a little hot and juicy. What did you learn about your sister that you might not have known?
I say in every podcast, I love that she has her opinions and she doesn't acquiesce on it because society is becoming so watered down with standing on your beliefs that even though we can argue on this podcast and maybe even I might say something that makes her go home with her husband and thinks her brother's a jerk, she'll always know that I respect that quality of her and I don't want her to change that because that's what makes her her. And I'll always say that same thing because it's the fact.
And that's why we did this podcast. Our love for each other and our commitment to our family comes above anything else. And I like to, razz Ryan, and I'm able to do that. But he is a champion of women. And next to my father, there's no more generous man than he.
I want to end it with one thing, if the moderator, I got 20 seconds? Really quick, while I was leaving, I was telling the girls, just to ducktail what you said, I was telling them how we did an episode on Karens, and the girls in the office were like, wow, how'd that go? And I was kind of saying, I said, well, my sister had this side, and they go, well, she can't say you're a Karen because you got more females in your business at high levels than anybody we've ever met.
It's true.
I just wanted to say that.
It's true, yeah. He's a teddy bear.
All right, guys. We always appreciate your perspectives and your passion. And well done. Until next time. Fluffy and a CEO, starring Wendy Christensen as Fluffy and Ryan McDaniel as the CEO. Directed, produced, and moderated by Eric Christensen. This show is supported by Dunkin' Oil Company, changing the way you view energy companies. A special thanks to our VP of Merch, Catherine McDaniel. Please check out our merch by visiting fluffyandaceo.com. And remember, when you're feeling down, just turn on the show. Fluffy and the CEO, they'll make your day glow. With their love and laughter, they'll chase away the blues. Fluffy and the CEO, they're here for me and you. Enjoy your day and see you next episode when we have another adult conversation.